Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar today. I want to start by saying that this session is being recorded. Anyone who's registered, you're going to receive a link afterwards so you can access this all via email should you leave early, or better yet, should you want to share it with someone. So a little bit about the format for today and a little bit of housekeeping. I want to let you know that we will have a chat box on the side. All questions are welcome. I recommend sending them in throughout as they come up naturally through the conversation and the different topics we're covering. We'll have time set aside at the end for Q&A, so don't worry if it doesn't look like we're answering your questions. That'll be at the end of the discussion. So add your questions to the chat and we're going to do our best at the end to respond to as many of them as we can. All right, I want to start by some introductions of who we have on the call today. We have both OneSignal and Median represented. I'm going to start by introducing myself, and then I'll kick it over to Kingsley. But my name's Sasha. I'm an enterprise CSM here at OneSignal. I've worked in mobile marketing for over 5 years. My role is mostly post-sales. What I do is help some of our largest customers strategize and optimize their OneSignal setup and collaborate to make sure that they're reaching all of their goals. Kingsley is the CEO at Median. I'll let him kick it off in a second and introduce himself, but he is responsible for their day-to-day operations, their overall strategy and roadmap. He's also previously been an engineer and a consultant, so he really has seen all of these different pieces of the mobile journey.
Thank you, Sasha. I guess I'll take it from there with an intro to Median. And thank you as well for the invitation to join and help host. Looking forward to the discussion. So a bit about us. Median, we were the first to market with a platform for web view apps way back in 2014, and we've actually been working with OneSignal since 2016. So been around this space for quite a while. I know we have some long-time Median customers joining us today, as well as some people who are new. So I will take a few moments here to give some background. I'm going to speak to the 2 points at the bottom here about why you should launch an app, and then I'll give a little bit about why what makes Median different. So on the first, let's assume you've invested in a high-quality website, a really great website or web application. Why should you launch a native app? Well, number one, an app store listing that offers a level of credibility, convenience for your users to download. Number two, the home screen presence. So they download the app, easily getting on the home screen, and that really keeps you top of mind and drives repeat engagement. And then the third point I'll make is on native app features and the user experience of an app. So there is so much you can do today in web alone delivered through a browser, but there's always functionality and features that are just more performant, more effective to deliver through native app development. And really the whole mobile ecosystem is built around apps. Apple and Google, they continue to reinforce like the downloadable app as just the preferred gateway to that enduring user engagement. And really, we'll talk about that as we continue the session today. So that's why you should launch an app in summary. Now for what makes Median different. Median is built for enterprise. So while we do serve quite a few enterprise customers, that also benefits all of our customers. So whether you're a SMB or a web developer, you do get that advantage of a solution that's been rigorously tested and proven in the rigors of the enterprise environment. As I mentioned at the outset, we've got a decade of experience, so we offer really top-tier support, ongoing updates, ensuring your app is always going to perform well and be fully compatible as iOS and Android evolves. And then overall, you know, we say we make apps easier. It's our solutions and services as well as the Median platform, app development, app store publishing. We help a lot of customers with those challenges. And so I guess, can you do web view apps and can do all this without Median? Yes, sort of, but to sort of share some stories of what we hear from our customers. You might launch your app to discover that you have an issue with a particular type of Android device that only occurs in certain situations. These things can really bog down development and maintenance. There's a new iPhone comes out, a slightly different screen, new privacy requirements. Who wants to spend all weekend trying to solve those types of things that come up? And as I said, we at Median are really passionate about making apps easier, helping eliminate all those pain points, and ultimately allowing our customers to focus on what actually matters for the business: user experience, serving customers, and taking away that sort of app development and maintenance. So thanks everyone for bearing on the introduction. Really looking forward to the discussion. And on to you, Sasha, to keep us moving.
Sounds good. I'll introduce OneSignal quickly. I know some people on the line are OneSignal customers, even OneSignal customers I've worked with, which is wonderful. Quickly, just to sort of highlight what we do, we are an omni-channel tool that can help you drive your engaged and loyal users through push, through in-app, through email, through iOS live activities, which I know is a very fun topic right now, and through SMS, our SMS product. So simplicity, speed, reliability, that's our wheelhouse. Our founders were actually developers who built OneSignal out of their own personal need that they saw for a platform like this that was, both easy to get running and also easy to use to improve customer engagement. We're very easy to set up, which I think our G2 reviews can speak to if you're interested in looking into that more. But we're also able to connect to a lot of aspects of your existing tech stack. So I think that, if you're interested in OneSignal, you can also message us after this and we can talk a little more about it. But I'm going to continue on and kind of talk about some of the strategy we're hoping to discuss with you today.
And thanks, Sasha. I'll take this one. So we've, as I said, been working with OneSignal for a long time. We have a very comprehensive integration. Summary of some of those features here. I'll pick out a couple. So, a very basic feature you may want to include in your app is the ability to send a notification that includes a specific URL that's then shown in the app. It could be a news article that's launched or any type of announcement, taking the user that taps that banner directly to that content within your app. We can also do that, so that creates a page load in the app. We can also do that using a more sort of passive AJAX or single page application way of just sending data to the app without needing to load the whole page. So that's the next point there. One of the real powerful features of push in the app is personalized transactional notifications. So sending a notification to a specific user when a given event occurs. And we have customers across the spectrum. It might be a staffing app and a new shift becomes available that needs to be filled, and you send that to the right people. It could be just an announcement that's relevant for a person is posted. And I'm sure, like even today, I got a notification that this webinar is starting soon. So we see this all the time. And then, Sasha, if you'd like to skip to the next page, I'll speak to the integration we have with the data tags functionality from OneSignal. So data tags, it's an ability to assign a user or a group of users a specific tag. And so we expose methods to allow you to silently assign a given user to a tag. So that could be if they log in and they're from the New York office, you're then going to tag them as NYC and they get notifications relevant for that particular office. Many of our customers want to provide the ability to end users to subscribe, unsubscribe through data tags directly. And so what we're seeing here on the screen is just two examples of that. One is in context on a page, you have a UI component, opt in, opt out for this type of notification. Alert me about election coverage or my delivery that's coming. And then the other here on the right is a more native feature of the app. So we actually have a native UI that is populated over the air from a JSON file that you host. Obviously, getting the technicals, happy to cover that later, but that takes all of this away from you as a web developer to just rely on what we provide out of the box. I would certainly say there's, from in-app messages to push notification, the Median OneSignal integration covers a lot.
Yeah, one quick thing I wanted to add, the subscription management, it's an incredibly considerate thing to do to your customer. It means that, more people will want to stay subscribed if they have control over what they're seeing and when. And also, I think we've seen a lot of trends in the industry, like from Apple, about kind of increasing that control and increasing that option for those individual users.
Yeah, absolutely. But if it's a one button opt-in, opt-out, it's like you're going to see much more drop out of people unsubscribing when you provide them that level of control and make sure that the notifications they're receiving are relevant for them. Much sort of better experience.
Wonderful. Well, I'll kind of start talking about our kind of four bullets we'll be walking through today, which are the 4 critical engagement milestones that we recommend adopting in the first month after an app download. Unfortunately, the problem that all of us in mobile are facing is that most new users are going to churn in the first month after downloading an app. The app marketplace is also increasingly competitive. Our collective attention spans are just continuing to dwindle, and it does seem like it's a pretty competitive space. The average American has upwards of 80 apps downloaded on their smartphone, and the majority of those go unused. I know that's certainly the case for me. So it's a matter of how do you make your first impressions count and build a really sticky app experience early. So we'll talk about how you can leverage Median and OneSignal to kind of capitalize on these opportunities of those 4 critical milestones we'll review today. The first goal, earning essential permissions early in order to maximize engagement opportunities. 75% of apps that use OneSignal have reported that push notifications are the most valuable channel in this critical window to keep new users engaged. Earning push permission early on will give you an essential lifeline to connect with users, even when they exit the app, and it'll help nurture lasting habits. Here's how to ensure that you're getting those early permissions and you can maximize engagement that way. First, we highly recommend creating a pre-permission, sometimes known as a soft prompt, and that provides the essential context to inform the opt-in decision and increase opt-in rates. I always tell my customers the great thing about a soft prompt is it allows you to give your value prompt before that hard prompt comes down, usually from Apple, asking you to opt in. If you're a news team, you're going to want to mention breaking news. If you're a retail app, you're going to want to mention early access to sales, things like that. So it's a good opportunity for you to use your branding, use your voice, and pitch the value of that push permission before they're just, kind of maybe feeling bombarded with things that are like prompting and coming down from the screen in different windows. The majority of app users also are going to churn within that first week after download. It's a really crucial period. Push notifications, however, can be the most valuable channel because after they download, you can bring those users back to the app and help push them to forge new habits that are key early on. So getting that notification opt-in early on the user journey will help you drive engagement, and you can use OneSignal in-app messaging to create that soft prompt out of the box. We even have some visuals for it. We have some templates existing so you can kind of see what's possible. And from there, you can trigger that native prompt, give someone the text that they need in the context about what they'll be receiving, and start their journey from there. We can also segment that audience by their engagement behaviors in the app or the time that they've spent since downloading it and launching that SDK for the first time. And that'll allow you to time this at the perfect moment in each user journey to maximize subscribers. One of the questions I always get is like, well, you want to hit early, but you also want someone to feel comfortable with the app. Like, what's the sweet spot? I always say you want it to be within usually like the first 30 seconds to a minute. You have to think about other things that you're asking them for or showing them early. Prioritize that in terms of importance. But if there's anything happening early in the app, like if someone needs to like add a credit card or link with social, something that might cause a drop off, you're going to want to ask for push permission before that happens, because you're going to want to make sure that you can reach out to them to make sure they finish those tasks. I think another really great use case is install attribution, which I know Kingsley and his team are very adept at. So I'll let him kind of describe his process there.
Yeah, sure. That is really a key. Is this new user in your app, are they an existing user that might have come in through an email campaign? Maybe you sent them an email that their delivery is being shipped. Install the app to track your shipment. For someone that's coming in like that, you can accelerate the ask to receive push permission. If it's someone that's installing the app off of an ad campaign, a brand new user, you get those signals of how is this app being installed. As Sasha said, you want to be careful and be very strategic about providing the push permission prompt. And from the app perspective, just to give a bit of background, this previously was only an iOS thing where you can only ask the end user once in the app natively, as shown on the right of the image here, for push permission. If they decline, for them to enroll in push, you have to direct them to the settings screen for your app, and there's a few more steps. It's not just saying allow. And so you really do have that one critical time to ask. And as we see sort of generally, Android is getting more privacy and user control focused. And so starting with Android 13, that is a similar model employed there. So it is both iOS and Android really today, where you do want to be thoughtful and asking for push permission immediately upon install, that first launch of the app. You're going to see people saying no a little more than yes. Great to see the OneSignal in-app message, making that a convenient way to deploy the soft prompt, because if the user says no to the soft prompt and you haven't triggered the native prompt, you can actually ask a soft prompt again that's just displaying this screen in the app. And so you do have a couple of chances, and only if they say yes to the soft prompt will you trigger the actual native prompt.
That's a great point. It's also it's a great way to control the experience of opting in, because as Kingsley said, if they aren't doing it in that early prompting mechanism, it's really hard to like move someone to the settings page of the phone or move them elsewhere when they then have to go and update that app specific setting. So great point. That brings us to our second goal, which is to provide a seamless, engaging, and efficient onboarding experience. OneSignal makes it easy to create an in-app onboarding flow and supplement that with onboarding messages across critical channels such as email and push notifications. Using our journeys feature, it's possible to automate all of those onboarding messages from a single campaign that can dynamically adjust according to a user's behavior. So did they interact with a previous message? Did they finish their onboarding after one notification sent? You then therefore don't want to send them the rest of them. So it's always good to include those reminder push notifications to bring them back to finish creating an account or any other important onboarding step. The idea is they need to kind of cross some of those early milestones, and you can kind of slowly prompt them using different channels, using different formats to come back and complete onboarding so that they can then unlock the value and continue to see what you're providing them in the app itself. So Kingsley, I'd love to hear some of the ways that Median has been helping with sort of onboarding optimization.
Yeah, a little similar to the app install attribution, but deep linking, deferred deep linking. what this allows is the ability to send an email from a website, from an SMS, and go directly to that content in the app, either if it's installed immediately or through an install process. And so for someone that's coming into your app that way, you can really ensure that the onboarding flow is as smooth as possible, skip over any steps if you already know where you want to send them in the app. And then additionally for apps where that initial onboarding is all about a sign up or creating an account, logging into the app, we offer a social login plugin, so that allows single tap login or account creation with Google sign in, Facebook login, the Apple sign in, and takes that step of creating a username and password and everything out of that flow, which is really sort of back to the point of why an app. This is just a lot easier, smoother in an app experience than on a website that you're viewing in a browser.
Well put. I think another thing to think about that makes deep linking so important is, obviously this is onboarding. These customers are relatively new. They might not remember that pages where they have to update their billing information to start their free trial, things like that. So giving them that extra hand and really making sure that it's like a seamless and well curated experience so that they're not guessing or it's taking them longer in the app, or even they might get frustrated and not end up in the right place. So that kind of consideration, can really go a long way.
Yep. Yeah, and you can indicate where they are in the flow, one more step to complete, and really sort of bring people back in.
100%. That brings us to our third goal, obviously, driving in-app transactions. It's not always enough to just keep users engaged. In order to really grow and drive revenue, you're going to have to figure out how to activate them and convert them into paying subscribers or customers, or depending on your vertical, maybe repeat customers. The idea is, even if someone is loving and engaging the app, eventually you probably will need to take that to the next level and make sure that they're understanding that value prop in its entirety and are bought into using your product. So a little bit of the strategy to drive some of those in-app transactions. Push notifications and in-app messages are the perfect 1-2 punch to help nudge and incentivize users to complete transactions and complete transactions at the right moment in their journey. So segmenting users is really key here. That way you're targeting and timing these messages effectively, and it allows you to scale up communication without scaling up your workload at the same time. We can collect, especially with the help of all of the incredible tools that Median provides you, figuring out what a user's doing, what stage they're in, buying some of the data tags and the additional information that we can capture to be considerate to that customer and make sure that we are helping show them the value, helping, what if something's running out of stock? What if something is only available for a certain time? All of that good stuff that kind of helps drive them to the ideal outcome, which is a transaction and a investment in your product. So Kingsley, I'd love to hear what are some of the methods that you've used to convert users.
Yeah, and I think I often default to these retail type examples. We have lots of retail customers, and it's sort of something most of us are familiar with. But I think just knowing some of the people we've got attending today, in-app transaction might be just using the app. So you're trying to sort of replace a manual process, get someone rather than making a phone call to submit that request in the app. Yeah, like the transact is just driving usage for whatever your business case is. We have lots of apps through customers that are for internal employee staffing portals and so on. And so with all of those, though, what is the common theme is the individualized, personalized, transaction-based notifications. So whether it is retail or some type of consumer app, and you're using analytics to segment users and send groups particular messaging, or that integration you have in your backend so that similar to sending another email to someone to fill out their timesheet or submit some type of document. You're doing that through the app, and you know that it's going to be actioned more immediately and not get as easily overlooked. So one of the key things that we're often helping customers with is that being thoughtful about the problem to solve and looking at the integration to do those types of transactional emails or transactional push notifications as opposed to something like an email or in conjunction with an email.
100%. I think another good example that can help visualize the importance of like those in-app transactions and why something like a combination of OneSignal and Median to make those transactions, data motivated is also the like free trial to subscriber period of time is a good example of those multiple touch points, wanting to use as many channels as you can. It's a really important time, and it's like the peak in-app transaction journey to kind of bring someone to see value, understand what's happening, convert them, and then immediately you'll want to say, here's what you've unlocked, here's the value. And ideally the journey is never over. This is just one of the most important parts, especially for a subscriber, is that first week to make sure that they're engaging with the app, seeing value, making the most of that trial period. And then from there, of course, moving them to the next journey, which is going to be, value realization, engagement throughout the rest of that, if it's a monthly subscription, yearly subscription, et cetera, moving through that timeline to make sure they're adopting all the features and seeing all of the value. Which brings us to the fourth and last goal of that, early user journey and life cycle that's so crucial, generating buzz and finding the social proof. Reviews and referrals and general evangelism of the app are essential to convince those users to download it and generate goodwill to drive initial account setup and engagement. But it also acts as a megaphone, spreading the word from your ideal customers to their network, which might also have other people in that like ICP, ideal customer profile, or to app review pages where, Kingsley kind of noted this a little bit earlier, those positive sentiments can make all the difference. Those app review pages are really crucial. One of the best ways to encourage App Store reviews or referrals is to reach people in the app who are the most engaged. One great tool, we usually recommend in-app messaging for this because you already know that user is active in the app, is opening the app, because we can only, reach them through in-app messaging when they're actively opening the app and engaging. We can see them and surface it in that session. We want to make the process of reviewing the app seamless. We can do this by organically embedding your ask into the app experience. We have, sort of out of the box prompts as well as custom HTML. So if you had anything additional that you wanted to add in there, it's very flexible. We want you to send those well-timed push notifications as well, or even potentially deploy strategic email campaigns that could prompt the users to review as well. Another thing is we want to make sure that you're phrasing the request for feedback as the mutually beneficial act that it is. So we want to make sure that language conveys that you want to hear from the valued users, that you appreciate their time, and we want to make the app as great as possible. It's one of the best reasons to ask for feedback. You want to also catch your users when they're in a positive mindset about your app, in a moment where they either feel satisfied, grateful, excited about what the product can do. Some key examples that I've guided customers to in the past: if they've completed a level of a game, if you know that they've received their order or have it slightly after they've placed an order, or potentially if explored a new feature in the app. Obviously, they are then very curious and very engaged. And we can actually set up in-app triggers based on that behavior or any other key milestones that you identify to kind of achieve this ideal moment of outreach. So Kingsley, I know you have a lot of methods for supporting both App Store reviews and referral programs. I'd love to hear a little more about some of your favorite techniques.
This is one of the key aspects of the whole mobile app ecosystem. It's that App Store review listing and the reviews, as well as that type of virality that you can generate through referrals. And so while it is one of the most powerful, particularly on the App Store listings, it's also one of the most risky and sort of dangerous to do, because it is a open forum for people to make comments on your app. And so, one of my sort of favorite examples is we have a customer that offers apps to large and small cities, towns. So it's sort of a citizen engagement tool for the communities. And you'll see app reviews, not necessarily about the app performance, but about potholes and construction and all these things. So you do, as a developer, want to take control of the reviews and ratings that you're seeing, and ensure that they are actually relevant to your app, that you're addressing them. And so the app stores, Apple App Store, Google Play, do make the features available to respond and address those types of reviews that get left. But within the app, yes, we have an app review plugin that gives you the ability, as you described, to trigger that request for a review at the optimal time, when there's something positive has occurred and it's a great time to make the request. And similar to the push notification prompt, you can't continually ask people for reviews. There's limits. You can do more than once, but not constantly. And so using the in-app message or otherwise ensuring that you're doing it thoughtfully is a great thing. You'll often see in an app, like, are you having a good time? Which is like, are you enjoying the app? And if you say yes, you then get prompted to leave a review. If you say no, then you're prompted to leave feedback internally without making it to the App Store listing. So definitely something, if you're counting on a strong App Store listing to be key to your app, you do want to be thoughtful about this. And then, relatedly is the referral capabilities. And so one of the long-standing ways to do that within an app is to ask the user to import contacts, and you can sync your entire contact address base, which is good for these types of social apps or even like a CRM type of tool. And it can also be used to send referrals and like a download code, a coupon code directly to someone. And so we also support the address book integration with some various features around that, which all these things are what makes an app and elevates the whole experience and the value that you can create beyond the website alone.
Yeah, and one of the things that it makes me think of is the cost of acquisition of a user. Like, as we discussed, you're going to naturally lose a large amount of that. But for those who have made it, past onboarding and are still that engaged user, why not use their networks? People who are kind of similar, in order to get the most value out of what you've paid to acquire that user and to get them to this stage. So yeah, Kingsley, 100% agree. All right. We're going to devote a little bit of time now to answering your questions. Thank you to everyone who has pushed anything in the chat. If there's anything you want to know about Median or OneSignal or something you need us to elaborate on, you can keep writing in as we start answering these questions as well. We will do as many as we can with the time we have left. And if we aren't able to answer something live in this session, we'll take these questions afterwards, and we will have who sent them, and we can answer you directly via email. So I'm going to kick it over and we're going to start looking at questions. Okay, first question is, can you explain how segmenting doesn't scale up the workload? This question is for both Median and OneSignal. So I can take a first stab at this. So the idea is, in OneSignal, segments are often the entry point to some of our automated campaigns and journeys. So the idea is, when you have certain segments, so like let's say you are a retail app, um, if you know people who have made a purchase before, who have downloaded in the last week and not completed a purchase, we can make it so that like once you have that segment and that user, we have their automated journey going out specific to where they are, specific to what's happened to them, what their experience has been so far. I mean, obviously, like, you know, soon after downloading the app, you kind of hope for, depending on the retail company, obviously some purchases are much bigger, but usually you would hope for them to kind of see the value and convert in the first week or two. So you could create a segment specific to that group that goes out automatically. Once you have the segment, we have the tools to make sure that those messages and those touch points are seamless and automatic, not just push, in-app, email, SMS, how they all work together. I hope that that makes sense. So basically, like once you've segmented, you don't have to send out one-off individual messages. Segmenting is one of the building blocks for automation in our tool. So you're not sending, rather than, I think there's a Black Friday example that we just had in the slide deck. You don't have to create a custom marketing message and send it out for that whole like week you have that promotion. You can have them preset to help them make a purchase. If they make a purchase, you can make it so that they stop receiving those messages because they're no longer relevant. So I hope that answered the question. Kingsley, I don't know if you want to weigh in with anything.
We did talk about the data tags, so that's one way to define a segment, and you can do that silently, programmatically through the app based on like any type of behavior of the user or information you have about the user. And as I showed in the screenshot, you can also allow people to opt in or opt out, and those can all be combined to define a segment. And of course, that while that's what you can do in the app, you may also have an integration directly with OneSignal on your backend through API, and so it might be happening there as well. And it really depends on your overall the design.
Okay, we have a second question. Okay. What about SaaS membership transaction? Any particularities? So my guess is it's potentially like connected to a SaaS tool. I usually assume that those are similar to subscriptions. It's usually a longer contract. It's a lot about adoption, value realization, but those can pretty easily be set into journeys. So it's about adopting those features, making sure someone is really sticky in the product. So back to onboarding, I do think the only thing I'd note is with a SaaS membership, you're looking at a longer timeline. Obviously you want them to be a long-term user of the product. It's less about early conversion. So I think journeys to help, I mean, onboarding and setup is key still, as well as long-term value realization, product updates, also, counting back from, since many of them, want an annual membership or subscription, like counting back from that 1 year, and making sure that you have like maybe even longer built out journeys. That's what occurs to me off the top of my head. But I don't know, Kingsley, have you worked with some like SaaS model app memberships, and what have you done with them?
Yeah, I think these can really span the varieties. Like some of this might be actually membership driven through an in-app purchase subscription to a direct to consumer. Other times it's a little bit more B2B, and I'll speak to the B2B example where, and being clear on what the objectives are, which may be just onboarding the, say, customer base or like employee base or whatever. So if you're selling into a company, and one of the features of the SaaS platform is the downloadable app, then using push notifications to ensure that all of the users are being enrolled, using the notifications to move them ahead. So it's a lot about what we talked about, just different objectives and different strategies to do that. Because yeah, I think sometimes SaaS is sold on a per seat basis, and if you look at it after the year and only 10% of the potential users are using the app, then that is, is going to be a problem. So yeah, just being thoughtful about what your objectives are and using messaging as a tool to achieve those objectives. Happy to take any follow-ups there if we didn't really hit that on the mark.
I was about to say the same thing. If we misinterpreted that, send another question in and we'll give it a go. You can give a little more detail as well if you'd like. Kingsley, I have a question specific to you.
Yeah, question here. I don't know if I think maybe I'll state the question just to ensure that everyone can see it or know. So can Median handle other aspects of app projects like publishing and ongoing updates? And the answer is yes. Good news. So we, as I said, we like to say that we make apps easy. And one of the most challenging aspects of app development is getting the publishing completed. So getting either the initial app or an update launched. You're trying to time a major initial project launch or product launch, or this big update that you've been working on and it's stuck in a review process. And so our team is publishing apps every day for clients. We've worked across a lot of different industry verticals, and we're well attuned to the review guidelines as well as where the App Store reviewers are on certain policies. So, definitely encourage considering working with us for that. And then, yeah, ongoing updates is always a major pain point because that if you're not developing apps every day, you can be caught off guard when you hear from customers, oh, I'm hearing that on the latest Android, it's saying people can't download the app, or later this year we're expecting a new iPhone and it's possibly going to have a different size screen. Often these things can just result in a need to update, and so that's what we're happy to help address and take that off your plate.
Yeah, it always feels like you don't know what you don't know. I remember the P12 to P8 migration, which I didn't see coming, that unlocked great need, but just the kind of things where you don't always know what kind of development and updating needs you'll need. Oh, it looks like we have one last question as well. We're getting close to time. I know we have until 1:45 today. Regarding segments, do you have any tips or best practices to segment our user base? I could have filled half the webinar with this. Okay, very quickly, I'll say there are a couple of things that are out of the box with OneSignal that I think everyone should utilize. One is the time since someone had their first session. That's great for onboarding. How many sessions someone's had in OneSignal, that's also out of the box. So you can tell if it's like someone only went in one time, have a re-engagement journey. If someone has had 4 or 5 sessions, further product adoption, maybe kind of more the advanced level of what to learn in the app. I think thinking about the milestones that are the most important in your app, the beginning and end points, I think that's the best way to set up a journey. If that's make an account, start a free trial, become a subscriber, renew the subscriber, whatever those are. If you are, strapped of dev resources, think about the ones that are going to help you monetize best. It's always the best to kind of match that your resources to the things that will help you the most financially. But yes, if you have more questions or something specific to your use case, we can take that offline. But I think there's some out of the box that are related to how someone's engaged, how recent they are, how senior they are, how long it's been since they last had a session. We also have that out of the box. So a retention journey, we didn't get to that today because we focused on earlier. But once again, I think those are some of the easy ones. But think about when you're setting up those dev resources for data tags, segments, etc. What is the most valuable of the events that your customers can do? Okay, great. Well, I think we can wrap up there. Kingsley, thank you so much. It was really great to chat with you today. Very good insights about all things mobile apps. We are going to send the email after this that has a wrap up. Any additional questions we'll take offline and answer. And thank you for joining today.
Thank you, everyone.